That's interesting. Well, I live in Dubai where there is no politics whatsoever. It's not a democracy. So I've been in the US recently, but I haven't been close enough to what you're talking about necessarily to see and
To comment on
feel what
that.
you're saying. One thing I would say more generally is that I think one thing about conservatism and conservatives, almost by definition, is that it's about resistance to change, right? It's not about movement. When you think of movements, you think of progressivism, right? Progressivism is all about movement. It's all about change. You push it to the far ends and it's all about, revolutionary thinking. And so I think that's part of the reason why it appeals to a lot of young people, because it's like, hey, we want change, change, change. The conservative, it's kind of hard to come up even with a conservative slogan. And I think it's part, because what would a conservative slogan be? Would it be
America
keep things?
first.
Yeah, it could be American first in the US context. But I think that's one, just by the nature of conservatism, it is more, I think one thing I really liked with Vivek's campaign, and I said this to him when when I was on his podcast, I said, one thing I like about him is because I consider him like a progressive conservative, because he's actually coming in with new ideas and he wants some very significant shifts and changes. It's not just, hey, let's just maintain the status quo and maybe cut taxes by 5%. It's something that is new and different and a real fundamental change. And that's something that can inspire people and motivate people, and it can create a real movement and people can get behind it. I think in 2016, I think that President Trump did this. I think he did this well in terms of mobilizing people and getting them fired up. But I think that's one thing that's just an overall conservative weakness in a way, a potential weakness. Yeah, just because it's hard to get people fired up on that kind of stuff unless you're extremely good at communicating
it, or you are.
Okay.
I mean, like when like when you talk with, I will defer to you on that. I didn't think of it that way. Now I have thought about, like what do conservatives do? We conserve, right? But maybe it's time for new labeling to take place, because you're right. I did see that with Vivek. Now within the base, you see us. We abhor what the evil that is being done to our children, lying to little girls and having them remove their very healthy breast tissue, chemically castrating little boys, grown men walking in, gyrating in front of children.
I'll be honest with you, Kathy. It's one reason why I decided to move back to the Middle East.
You know what? I mean, I'm going to get to Dubai and all of that because you actually grew up in Saudi Arabia, but you're living in the UAE, which I'm not so mad at you about right now. I mean, I get it. I'm looking for options. I'm thinking El Salvador right now. I'm not sure. It keeps me in this Western hemisphere. But so I'm gonna get to that. But but I want to keep double clicking on what you're saying here, because I mean, we are fired up. We cannot stand what's happening with this immorality, with transgenderism, this whole month for Pride. I think people are finally figuring it out. But we also can't stand the open border. I mean, this is like red meat to us, right? It's like, just red meat, piranhas for us to just get into all of this. We can't stand the fact that, the media is telling us, go back to sleep. There's nothing to see here with a Russian nuclear submarine 40 miles off of our Florida coast, while we're engaged in a war with Russia and actually, sending over some of our own weapons against them right now. But everyone is so we are fired up. We want change and better. However, you're right. I was out there with Vivek. I was his national grassroots director. It was my job to be low to the ground and to mobilize people from a grassroots efforts up. And you're right. They, we have a lot of energy, a lot of angst. We want the change. And then Vivek comes in and says, I'm going to shut down the Department of Education. Whoa, wait a minute now. Wait a minute, Vivek, right? Or, Vivek says, I'm going to shut down the FBI. Wait a minute, wait, like that. Like it can't be done. It's not possible. Like this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to arm Taiwan, right? The best way to keep China out of Taiwan is to take the NRA to oh, wait a minute. Oh my God, what is he doing? So you're right. I didn't think of it that way, but because we have the energy, we have the anger. We're very angry right now. We want different, we want better, and yet we keep going back to the past and clutching our pearls when new ideas come up.
Okay, do you know what I think that conservatives really need? And by the way, I'm speaking for my own country when I say this too, because a lot of Americans might not know. The conservatives, quote unquote, have been in power in the UK for the past 14 years straight.